What is going on, guys? In today's video, I will show you the best endgame greatsword and sword with shield build in Throne and Liberty. So in this guide, I will show you a fully maxed setup with the best possible tier 1 gear, traits, masteries, skill rotations, and everything else. And the best part about this is that for every single build choice, I will explain my reasons, also how and where to get this powerful gear. And just overall, you'll be able to see what a fully maxed T1 character will look like and what at the end game you can achieve as well. So if you want to use the best build in the game, then let's get right into it. This setup will provide us with one of the strongest buffs in the game. As a tank, you'll be redirecting 70% of your teammates' damage taken to yourself, while at the same time significantly increasing your party's damage. And on top of all this, we will be doing insane amount of damage as by using specific skills and passives, we'll lower our cooldowns dramatically. If you want to be a melee monster, both as a tank and DPS, then this is the build for you. But if you're looking specifically for a full DPS AoE build, then check the video's description for my Greatsword AoE video. So let's move over to the build. And for the choice of weapons, we're going with the sword and shield, and greatsword. And first of all, we have our skills. So for defensive skills, we use the shield survival technique, while for active skills we get Gaia Crash, Shield Strike, Valiant Brawl, Guillotine Blade, Da Vinci's Courage, Blood Devotion, Provoking Roar, Counter Barrier, Chain Hook, Stalwart Bastion, Strategic Rush, and Will Breaker. As you can see from the gameplay, I don't have all these same skill icons on my bar. It is because the skills icon will change depending on our specialization setup. So Shield Strike will turn into Piercing Strike, then Valiant Brawl will turn into Cruel Smite, and Blood Devotion will turn into Devoted Sanctuary. And then for passive skills, we get Robust Constitution, Vital Force, Indomitable Armor, Resilient Mind, Spectrum of Agony, Aegis Shield, Impenetrable, and Victor's Morale. As for skill upgrade priority, for active skills we want to mainly focus on Shield Strike, Shield Survival Technique, Da Vinci's Courage, Counter Barrier, and Stalwart Bastion. While for passive skills, we focus on Robust Constitution, Resilient Mind, Aegis Shield, Vital Force, and Indomitable Armor. For the rest of your skills, they're not as important, so just upgrade them as you progress through the game. Also remember to always upgrade all of your skills to blue first, before moving on to purple. Next we have Skill Specialization, and for Gaia Crash, we select Attack Speed Increase and Critical Hit Chance Increase. Then for Valiant Brawl, we get Cruel Smite, Damage Increased, and Aggro Increased. For Da Vinci's Courage, get Duration Increased, Damage Reduction, and Instant Healing. Then for Provoking Roar, get Effect Duration and Cooldown Speed. Then for Chain Hook and Strategic Rush, don't get anything. Then for Shield Strike, get Piercing Strike and Aggro Increased. For Guillotine Blade, select Charges Damage and Cooldown Reduction. Then for Blood Devotion, get all 4 of these, so Devoted Sanctuary, Duration Increased, Damage Transfer Increase, and Damage Increase. Then for Counter Barrier, get Cooldown and Damage Increase. For Stalwart Bastion, don't select anything. And finally, for Will Breaker, get Damage Area Change. Next we have Weapon Mastery, and this is how it should look for the sword and shield. So take a look at the middle and get everything from Skillful Block until All-Out Defense. Now go to the bottom and only get this one node, called Max Health. And last but not least, now we can go to the top row and get this entire thing. And then this is how it should look like for the Greatsword. So this time we go to the middle and only select this one, Skilled Vitality. Then next we go to the bottom and get that entire row. And lastly we go to the top and select everything from Ranged Defense until Overcome Snare. Next, let's take a look at our gear. And if you're looking for a full green or blue gear setup, then I recommend for you to watch my previous build videos. So first off, we are using Karnak's Netherblade with traits like Max Health, Hit Chance, and Heavy Attack Chance. All gear should be at its max level, and you can get this item from Death's Abyss. Next we have Adenthus' Gargantuan Greatsword with Hit Chance, Heavy Attack Chance, and Critical Hit Chance. You can get it by defeating Adenthus. Next we have Helm of the Field General with Max Health, Melee Evasion, and Cooldown Speed. You can get it from Armor Chest and by defeating the Chernobog. Also by having 2 pieces of the Imperial set, we will get additional 150 Heavy Attack Chance. Next we have Forsaken Embrace with Max Health, Skill Damage Resistance, and Debuff Duration. You can get it by defeating Junoboat. Next we have Shock Commander Plate Armor with Max Health, Melee Evasion, and Ranged Evasion. You can get it from bunch of purple chests or by defeating the Demon Hoof Shaman. Next we have Gauntlets of the Field General with Max Health, Melee Evasion, and added attack speed. You can get it from armor chests or by defeating Eridas. Next we have Greaves of the Infernal Herald with Mana Regen, Melee Evasion, and Ranged Evasion. You can get it from a Blessing Pouch or by defeating the Reptilian Fighter. Next we have Shock Commander Sabatons with Mana Regen, Melee Evasion, and Ranged Evasion. You can get it by defeating Koazan. Also, because of the 2-piece set bonus, we will get extra damage reduction. Next up we have Clasp of the Conqueror with max health, skill damage boost, and buff duration. You can only get it by opening all types of purple armor chests. Next we have the Ancient Saradama Braces with Mana Regen, skill damage resistance, and debuff duration. You can only get it from purple armor chests. Next we have Etched Alabaster Band with max health, skill damage boost, and buff duration. You can get it from Abyss chests or by defeating the Demon Hoof Tracker. Next we have Amber Dimensional Band with max health, skill damage boost, and buff duration. You can only get it from purple armor chests. And finally we have Belt of Bloodlust with max health, skill damage resistance, and debuff duration. You can get it by defeating Eridas. Last but not least, if at this current moment you only have blue gear, then don't worry because that gear doesn't really matter and you'll soon enough start changing it for the purple pieces. The setup I showed is the best current gear that anyone can farm. But no matter what gear you choose, this build will still work fine. But this setup is just an example of what the best of the best items will look like. Next up, let's take a look at our gear upgrades. This game doesn't have a very typical gear progression. By this I mean you'll have to upgrade pretty much anything you get. So we go from gray to green to blue and finally purple. No matter at which stage of progression you're watching this video, just keep upgrading your equipment to their max level. And then when you get better gear, just transfer the experience from the old one to the new one. As for my gear recommendations, when you reach level 50, just farm accessible gear by doing open world dungeons. Also, you want to extract traits from Gear for Lucent. On top of that, you'll need to turn important purple gear acquired from co-op dungeons into lithographs and then sell them on the auction house. Last but not least, for your traits, just prioritize the ones that give you the highest damage. Next up we have the stats, and depending on your gear, you should adjust them accordingly. The goal for your endgame build is to reach 70 strength, 30 dexterity, and 40 perception. All of these milestones will give us extremely high survivability and damage. And now finally, we have come to the gameplay. As this setup is versatile, so I'll give you 3 different rotations for 3 different objectives. So first off, we have the opening rotation. And at the beginning of every fight, you want to start by activating Da Vinci's Courage, then use Piercing Strike, Devoted Sanctuary, Provoking Roar, Will Breaker, Gaia Crash, Guillotine Blade, Piercing Strike again, and then finish it off with Cruel Smite. This is our main rotation in which we use Da Vinci's Courage to pre-buff and give ourselves party-wide increased bonuses. And then from here, we just do damage with our DPS skills, and in between the rotation, put in Piercing Strike and Cruel Smite to keep maintaining the enemy's aggro on ourselves. Next we have Single Target Burst rotation, and in this one we started by using Gaia Crash, Guillotine Blade, Piercing Strike, and then finish it off with Cruel Smite. This quick combo will give us fast burst damage and of course help us keep holding the enemy's aggro. And now finally for the last one we have our defensive rotation. So for high defense we just simply use Provoking Roar and then Will Breaker. These 2 skills will come off cooldown at the same time, so use them both at the same time to gain the most value out of their buffs. Just don't forget that if you ever lose the boss's aggro, then immediately use it again. Also, certain bosses have monsters that you need to kill. As a tank, you must stay in melee range, as most bosses do a party-wide AoE when their target is not within melee range. Also, you can use Chain Hook to group up weaker enemies while staying in melee range, which also maxes out the boss's aggression, forcing the boss to attack you, and that's about it. So, if you enjoyed this video, click like, subscribe, and comment. If you're interested in more content, check out my channel, and I'll see you in the next one. So take it easy, peace!